Earth is a pretty amazing place. And it's just right for us humans. Think about it. It's just the right temperature. We can breathe the air. It has food and shelter. Everything we need. And it's the same for animals. Different species have evolved to live in different environments. Polar bears in the freezing Arctic, scorpions in the scorching desert, and fish in the sea. In this episode, we're going under the sea to take a look at different types of animals that exist in different types of water. Lindsay dips her toes into a wet and wild adventure.
We're going to explore 3 very different underwater worlds.
Faye has a salty DIY project.
To show you how different salt water is to fresh water, we're going to make a hydrometer.
And Guy gets to know one of the most dangerous creatures in Australia.
It's known as the drop bear. They have evil little beady eyes, super sharp teeth, and those claws could cut through anything in seconds.
We meet an ecologist
Ecologists do research on plants and animals.
and learn all about a very slippery character.
I'm going to have a closer look at eels.
That's today on Get Clever.
Oh, I've got one! Oh, it's so slimy! Oh my goodness! We're here at a Botanic Gardens in Sydney, and today we're going to explore 3 very different underwater worlds. We're going to explore a freshwater pond, which are all the way up over here, and then we're going to have a look in salt water, like the beautiful ocean we have here at Sydney Harbour, and then we'll have a look at some brackish water in this pond right here. Brackish water is a mix between fresh and salt water, just like Goldilocks, who tasted too hot, too cold and just right porridge. Different underwater environments are just right for different creatures. So to find out more about these different underwater worlds, we're going to do some pond dipping. Pond dipping's great because you can learn about all of the creatures in the water without having to get wet. Before we start, we need to gather our equipment though. We've got our buckets, our light-coloured trays, a magnifying glass to see them with because sometimes they're tiny, and of course our dipping net. And this one's really special. It's only got very tiny holes in it. None of the animals can escape. Most importantly, I've got my eyes. Okay, let's go dipping. So you just dip the net in the water and make a figure of 8. It's really important that you have an adult with you when you're doing this. And then we can see what's inside. Oh, it doesn't look like we've caught anything. Well, it is winter, but I really want to find some little creatures to show you. So I'm going to use a bucket to speed things up so that nothing escapes. Well, my friend Stephen has come today to help me investigate these different creatures that live in different water, and he is a water scientist. Okay, let's see what's in the salt water.
Most of the saltwater creatures are very, very glassy and so don't show up much.
I'm going to take a closer look. Why are they so see-through?
Well, if you're out there in the sea and you're dinner, you don't want them to see you, so...
So they look a little bit like the water around them?
They look like the water around them.
Okay, let's see what's in the brackish water.
In the brackish water, there are likely to be baby crabs, baby prawns, baby lobsters, baby snails. This area works as a nursery for them.
Let's see what's in the fresh water.
Today, we've got freshwater worms in here.
What would happen if we put them in the brackish tray?
If it's not too brackish, they can survive there for a while and they'll go back, if they can, to the fresh water.
What if it was in the salt water?
All the water that's inside them gets drawn out and they just crinkle up and then they pop.
Oh, Stephen, I can see the freshwater's got all these little plants in it.
These are duckweed.
Oh.
They're tiny little plants that live on the surface of the water to get the best go at the sunlight it can.
Thanks so much for your help, Stephen. I'm going to go out now and test just how salty this water is.
Thanks, Lindsay. Bye.
So our little worm friend hated salt water. Fresh water was just right for them. So what we're going to do is test how salty the water is in each of the ponds. This is a hydrometer, and they're really amazing. All you need to do is fill them up with water And the saltier the water, the higher the needle floats. So fresh water is fresh. It doesn't have any salt in it. So that means the needle has nothing to float on, and the needle sits right down the bottom of the scale here. So let's have a look at the brackish water, the in-between water. Ooh, this is interesting. The needle is just above the bottom, and that tells me that this brackish water has a little bit of salt in it. And now the salt water. Let's dip the hydrometer. Oh, wow, look at that. It's actually reading 32. Wow, that's salty.